outros que permitam dizer quais são os problemas dos diversos caminhos, melhor ela será.
Muito bem. Vamos agora espreitar então a entrevista de Garry Kasparov, que esteve no Porto na semana passada, onde participou na Leadership Grand Conference, organizada pela Escola de Gestão do Porto. O Pedro Graber falou com o mestre de xadrez, que agora dá palestras para audiências de gestores.
Dr. Garry Kasparov, thank you very much for your time and for this interview. I'd like to start with a question that is the title of your book. How does life mimic chess, imitate chess?
Not at all. It's a nice title, but at the end of the day, it's not about chess imitating life or life imitating chess. It's about the experience you can use from what you're doing in other walks of life. So I believe that playing chess, I learned not only how to find good moves, but also to analyze the nature of every decision I made. Because behind every decision we make, whether we play chess or we play football, or we are involved in business, or we solve our private problems, or we in charge of the big corporation, or in charge of the whole country doing politics, we have to evaluate certain factors. And in chess, I found, the balance, between different things that we assess in the process of this decision-making. So in my book, I was sharing this experience, and I was trying to establish a dialogue with readership, with my readers, for them to learn their own way of making right decisions. Because one thing I know for sure, there is no universal recipe of success. You, me, other people, we all have very different decision-making formula. It's as unique as DNA or fingerprints. So it's very important to understand what is your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and to build your own formula based on this knowledge.
Isn't it mostly scientifically, like playing the game, or is there also place for intuition and creativity?
No, it can be hardly called scientific, because it's your own sort of a rigorous self-investigation. You have to understand more about you before you can become a very successful decision maker. And of course, many decisions are made intuitively. We don't want to talk too much about intuition, because today we like numbers, okay, number crunching, how many bytes of the information spread here and there. Intuition, as a matter of fact, is in the center of most of our decisions. And we have to trust intuition, because it's like a muscle. You don't work with your muscles, you cannot get stronger. So with intuition, if you trust, we can actually develop it and become even more sufficient decision makers.
And how can you become better at interpreting what's going on the chessboard?
No, with the chessboard, you have to be a good chess player. But it's just, at the end of the day, again, it's very important to understand two sides involved in the conflict. You look at your own game, and you also have to analyze the opponent's performance. And again, it's not only for chess. Whether you do chess or you're involved in sort of a military conflict or political conflict, you look at the balance of forces involved in this struggle. And you have to recognize your strengths and weaknesses, but you also have to understand opponent's strengths and weakness. And you have to create sort of a terrain to make sure that your strengths will manifest while the opponent's strengths will be diminished.
You were a world champion, chess world champion in your early 20s. Over 20 years you were one of the best and the best in the world. What kept you going? Was motivation fundamental for this?
Yes, but it was not just motivation to win the game. For me, the motivation was always to make the difference. It's not just playing a game and looking for a good move and beating the opponent. It's always to expand the horizon, to introduce new ideas. So it was a main element of my motivation, whether I play chess or what I'm doing now. I believe that I have to use my talent, my abilities to make the difference. And that's for me the real measure of success.
And what happened? What went wrong when you played against Deep Blue in '97?
Look, there were a number of mistakes I made. Some of them were very specific, and we don't have time now to go into them. But the main one was that I definitely underestimated the willingness of the corporation to do whatever to win the match. For me, it was from the very beginning, because because we played one match in 1996 in Philadelphia and the second in New York in 97. For me, it was a big social experiment to actually understand, how machines can perform against human beings. For IBM, it was about winning or losing. So that's why, let's say that not all the elements involved in this match were up to the standards of neutrality. And it's a great pity that immediately after the match, IBM dismantled Deep Blue, and that's what I said, killing the only impartial witness. And today we have many computers. You can purchase them, and you can use these chess engines on your laptop, and they are much more sophisticated and stronger than Deep Blue.
What about business and chess? What about the art of leadership? What is the same? What is the parallel between both of them?
Oh, again, it's not about direct parallel between chess and business. It's about decisions you make in business, because every decision based on certain factors, and you have to learn how to improve the quality of your decisions. And in order to do that, you have to learn how to analyze the nature of your decisions. And one of very important lessons I got from chess, and this is the important lesson also for leaders of major corporations, of the successful corporations, is that very often, it sounds as a paradox, but success can be an enemy of the future success, because people can be blind by their own success, and the success can make people either to become more conservative or over-aggressive, but you lose sort of impartiality. So it's very important to remember that if you succeed, it's not because you are the best in the world, but because, very often, because your opposition made mistakes. And they are all learning, because there are many more losers than winners. And in order to stay at the cutting edge, in order to stay ahead, you have to actually find out mistakes, some mistakes and inaccuracies you made, and you have to preempt new strategies that the opposition can introduce later on.
And how do you control the emotions? Is there fear in all this process of decision-making, making the first move, analyzing everything?
Well, fear is also a very important element of any human decision, and I don't believe there are people without fear, because it's quite stupid. It's not about being fearless. It's about your ability to control your fear and to actually live with this fear, and to not to let fear to dominate your decisions. Because we always look at, at certain factors that could jeopardize the whole venture. And the big problem today in business and politics, daily life, that it's risk averse. We don't want to take risk. We want first priority of every new business is how to reduce the risk. But we keep forgetting that risk is an element of winning, because the whole concept of capitalism is about, taking risk and getting more profits. So if you want to reduce risk, you cannot expect the same profits. And I think that's the nature of the current crisis, is that we want high profits, but we want to reduce the risk. And it creates this balance that actually hits back.
And worldwide, is there some checkmate move that we can make for this global crisis?
No, I think it's not about checkmate. I think it's about changing our attitude. And as long as we want to be risk-averse, as long as we want to avoid any risk, and we want to see guaranteed profits, 10% per annum or whatever, we are not immune from the crisis. The biggest problem of the world today, we are stagnating in innovations. It sounds a little bit odd, because every month you have a new version of iPod, iPad, iPhone, but those are technologies that were invented in the 60s and 70s. It's a very nice, convenient gadgets, but we have to actually start looking ahead. So we need the same breakthrough as at the end of the 15th century, started by Portuguese and then Spanish sailors. We have to start expanding the horizons.
One last question. You've been considered one of the top 100 geniuses of last century. How do you deal with that kind of compliment?
Look,
is it responsibility?
It's of course it's responsibility. I believe it's very subjective, because it's unless you have a direct measurement of success or of someone's quality, everything else is a matter of taste. But of course, I was very, very proud, and I hope that all I'm doing, will prove this very, very high evaluation.
Garry Kasparov, thank you very much for your
time. Thank you.
Garry Kasparov, ver muito